Hi, I'm Kerrie Penny, and on this episode of Secret Heart Broadcasting, I'm speaking with Susan Wismer, poet, wise woman, world traveler, mother, grandmother. She's turning 74 and has just published her first book of poetry. If you are interested in a conversation about courage and forgiveness and learning to be who you are meant to be in the world, then this episode is for you. And now, being that model, I do want to have you read that poem. So let's not forget that. But I'm just thinking, you've got your children and now you have grandchildren. So now with that knowledge of what you learned from your own mom's ending, you can, it's just the knowledge transfer at this time of aging is there's such potential for richness right now.
That's right. That's why I wrote that book, Hag Dances. I just really wanted, and part of it was, this is what I'm writing about, but really wanted to reclaim aging as a really honorable and respectful process that has lots of joy and celebration in it, and lots of challenge, lots of difficulty, but it's all something to be respected. It's all something to be honored. And as you've already acknowledged, to find a way to live that and to put that out in the world, that's a bit of a turnaround in terms of conventional mainstream thinking. So, yeah, it's a big one for me, a really big one.
Do you want to read something from Hag Dances? You mentioned the poem that you were speaking about your mom and kind of that feeling of I'm bringing all I can be. We hadn't talked about a specific poem, but I would love if you would read from something from Hag Dances.
Sure. Let me see.
And while you're finding something, I'll say Susan's book, we're recording this in the fall of 2025. Susan will be on a book tour for a poetry book, which, by the way, is highly unusual in Canada, the country we live in. So you might be able to catch her live on tour. And if not, you can certainly order the book. I think it's Bay Press. Is that
at Bay Press in Winnipeg?
At Bay Press, yes.
Yeah.
So Hag Dances by Susan Wismer. And now she's going to read us something.
Well, I'm going to read, I think, a very short poem. And it's not that one about my mom that's called A Daughter's Palinode, although I can go back to that if you want me to. But this is one, it's one of the shortest poems in the book, and I think one of the most profound for me personally. And it's called Simplicity. A vast tenderness lies here, beyond forgiveness. In this generous and frightening wilderness, I live, embraced for this short time, my human body on this earth, a simple offering.
And this is why I love poetry, right? Rich, dense, powerful. I could read that 3 or 4 times and sit with whatever energy that's coming out. That's the power of words, right? The intention, it's so important to be intentional with our words. I realize that as I get older, not to waste them, not to.
Yeah. And, this is really part of its importance to me is that forgiveness is not always easy. When people have wounded us, or when we look at some of the things going on in the world, people doing things that make no sense at all and that are bound to harm them and others, forgiveness can be difficult. I think the journey through forgiveness is well worthwhile, no matter how hard it is, because of that vast place of tenderness that lies on the other side of it.
Oh, I'm so glad I met you. Thank you. Thank you, Wintergreen and Lorna Crozier. One of the questions I like to ask people is books that you love or that have influenced you. And I don't know if you have any you want to recommend, but I'm always very curious about what people are reading and why.
Well, I am an avid reader, so I'm always reading. I have been influenced by so many books, but 3 recent books. One is Robert Macfarlane. He's a British writer. And if you haven't seen his book, Lost Words, it's a book that I think should be on the bookshelf of every poet. It's an amazing book. And he collaborated with a woman artist whose name escapes me at the moment to write this incredibly beautiful, large format book of words that were being left out of the British dictionary for kids. His recent book that I just finished reading, though, is called Is a River Alive? And it is just classic Robert Macfarlane. He writes like these great, big, fat books that are just one long prose poem. I mean, his writing is magnificent, and his topic is the environment, which is something I'm very passionate about. So that's nonfiction book I've read recently. In fiction, I've recently read a book called We're All Fine Here, by put out by Anansi Press in Toronto, and authored by a woman whose name is, I think, Irene Tushabi. I don't know that I pronounced it properly. She's a Ugandan Canadian writer, and she has written this lovely novel, which is about, well, on one hand, it's a coming-of-age story about a young girl who discovers that her older sister is queer, is a lesbian in a country where that is strictly forbidden. It's a beautiful, loving story that doesn't turn away, doesn't avoid the danger and the dread and the difficulty. And yeah, I really appreciated it for many, many reasons. So that's a recent novel I've read. And then in poetry, I just read Carol Ann Duffy, who's Irish. She was the Irish Poet Laureate for many years. And her book, The World's Wife, which is one of the most witty, smart, wise, feminist tracts I've ever read. It's hilariously funny. And she just pokes a sword through the way women are treated when they are treated poorly. And by taking all these traditional heroes of fairy tales and myth and writing from the point of view of a woman in their life, it's a great read. I just have to tell you.
Okay, well, those are three fantastic reads. We'll post more about those later online if you're following Secret Heart Broadcasting. I don't know if there's anything else. Did you want to talk about anything else? I feel very, I feel wiser talking to you, Susan.
Well, that would be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all use wisdom, and if I am able to spark even a little bit of that in anyone, I'm very happy. It's a great compliment too. What would I like to leave with people? A couple of things. One of them is about fear. I think, I, like many other people, am very distressed about the state of the world right now. I go every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 that I can and stand on front of City Hall in Collingwood, where I live, with a great big wooden sign that says peace. And I stand there for an hour because I think what's going on in the Ukraine and in Gaza is just unacceptable. And yet I have to accept it. It's going on. And other places in the world, too, that we don't hear about. South Sudan, the Congo. Anyway, so there's the violence in the world. There's environmental destruction. And then there's all the ups and downs of our own small lives. In that context, it's easy to be pretty scared and feel pretty powerless. And a thing that I want to leave with people is just this idea that, fear is a very natural response. But fear is always about the past or the future. It's never about right now. So if we can manage to stay in this moment that we happen to have, and in my case, because I'm older, I don't have uncountable moments. If I can stay in this moment and not get pulled into the past or the future, I'm fine. I'm fine. And so will you be too.
I love that idea of finding a time of day to stand with a sign that says peace. That feels, I'm going to do that. Let's follow up on that. Thank you for that, Susan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Susan Wismer, we didn't talk about this book, but 2 books. Hand Shadows, which was a collaboration published by Wintergreen Press earlier this year. Beautiful photos and, of course, beautiful words. And this book, Hag Dances, by Susan Wismer, available at Bay Press. She's read something in this interview. I'm so grateful you were here. And for people listening or watching, if you like what you're hearing, please follow. Please buy the book or take the book out from your library. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing, tell a friend, because I think there are just so many wonderful, wise women in the world. And I have been thrilled to have Susan Wismer as a guest today. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you, Kerrie. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please tell your friends.